After 4 days of competition, starting with 64 of the top players from around the world, it's time for the grand finals of the Mythic Invitational. Are you ready, Pax? We just got done with an absolute nail-biter of a consolation final where we saw Glogowski eliminate Savitz, which means now it's time to bring out our first finalist who's had an undefeated run today from the winner's bracket. From Italy, let's welcome Andrea Mengucci. Mengucci has had the archetypical mono white and Esper control that has proven to be a consistent threat in almost any matchup. Andrea's opponent, we've seen skillfully pilot 2 aggro decks to be here in the finals. Now, because this is double elimination, our next player must win 2 best of 3s to earn the championship as opposed to just 1. Can he do it? Let's welcome to the stage from Poland, Piotr Glogowski. Piloting the only mono blue deck in the entire tournament, as well as a fierce mono red that narrowly edged out a win last round. I cannot wait to get into this match. Andrea, Piotr, good luck, have fun, shake hands, to your station. David and Marshall, take it away.
Thank you, Day 9, and welcome back. So, players are going to get seated. They're going to have to catch their breath after that big intro. You know, this is a lot different than what these guys are used to. You see the lucky hat there for Glogowski off to the side. He doesn't need it just yet, right? Just wait a minute for that one until he needs his secret weapon. Take a look at the trophy once again that these players are playing for. We also mentioned it before, $250,000 going to first place here. $1 million total prize pool for the 64 players been entered, but alas, there are only 2 left. Now, the way that double elimination works, though, here on day 2, David, means that we've got kind of an interesting situation here. Mengucci, after having won his first 2 games, has put himself in a really good position.
Yeah, he's got to lose twice. Glogowski has to beat him the first time, and that'll give Mengucci his first loss, but because this is double elimination, they'll have to play again if that happens. And I believe they played at 2-0, and Mengucci was the victor.
That is correct. Now, let's take a look at the deck list here. Andrea Mengucci brought to the table the combination of decks that we saw most of the MPL level players. Now, both of our players in the finals here are in the MPL, including Mengucci, and he ended up going with Esper Control for deck number A, or deck letter A, I should say. And remember, this is duo standard. Players brought 2 60-card standard decks, though with a little bit of an asterisk because he does actually have a sideboard here for his Esper Control deck. Thanks to the 1 copy of Mastermind's acquisition in his deck, he can actually search up any of these cards from his sideboard as well. Otherwise, there is no sideboarding in Duo Standard. Instead, the players will just simply switch which decks they played from Game 1 to Game 2. If there's a Game 3, then they'll get to choose which of their 2 decks to take to battle. On the other side here for Mengucci is mono white aggro.
Yeah, this is
there it
standard
is.
deck. We've seen this a lot this weekend, and it's really powerful. We've seen a lot of incredible moments with this deck, and it's tough.
Yeah, Esper and mono white made up the biggest bulk of decks brought from all of our 64 players. On the other side, though, and this is where things get really interesting, Glogowski, boy, so not only did he go off track here, he did not bring Esper at all. He brought mono blue tempo. He's the only player in the field. There were 128 decks submitted, and this is the 1 mono blue tempo, and it seems to have served him quite well. Did people miss the boat on this deck?
Yeah, it seems like people just thought the matchups weren't going to be good without sideboards, playing against Esper Control a lot. Supposedly doesn't have the greatest matchup against white, but, you know, it's done well. He's gotten here. I mean, I don't believe it's just because of his mono red deck winning games 1 and Game 3.
Yeah.
Mono blue deck we've seen has given out.
And having talked to some of the competitors, they thought that white matchup with this blue deck was horrible.
Tithe Taker is a real problem. Tithe Taker makes all your spells cost 1 more on your opponent's turn. That deck likes to operate with a lot of counter spells or flash creatures, and it makes it just a little more expensive, and it's already skimping on land. So Tithe Taker's a beating.
That's right. On the other side here, speaking of skimping on lands, 18 lands here for Glogowski, yet he is still running the 3 experimental frenzy up top, so he's kind of trying to have his cake and eat it too.
Yeah, only 3 Experimental Frenzy, which is a really powerful card, probably the best card in this mono red deck, but it is a little expensive, and in multiples, unless one of them is getting destroyed, they don't really do anything. They don't do anything at all. So I understand going down to 3.
Take a look at the experience level here in the head-to-head from our 2 players. These days, they're on the same level. They're both in the MPL. But if you go back in time here, I mean, Glogowski's only been playing since 2012. That's a pretty new career and really impressive stuff for him. On the other hand, for Mengucci, he's been battling since 2004, though really made his breakout season around when Glogowski started playing. About 2014 is when we started seeing Mengucci regularly.
Yeah, 2012, that's incredible. It's 7 years, and he has a chance to become one of the top all-time money winners.
Yeah.
The size of this tournament.
Yeah, 250K to the winner. But I will say, we touched on it before, David, Glogowski really has his work cut out for him. He's going to have to beat Mengucci twice in a row in a best 2 out of 3 here in 2-0 standard. That's going to be really difficult. Like, he is a significant underdog here.
Yeah, but he's got to take it one match at a time. In the first match, I think it's the matchups. I think ideally he wants mono blue tempo against Esper control and mono red aggro against mono white. If you flip that, he could be in trouble.
And let's just take a look at the bracket one more time as players are just about ready to go. This was our top 4 for today. Glogowski got by Strasky and then ran into Andrea Mengucci. His loss to him is what put Mengucci into the finals and had him awaiting for the last round. Mengucci defeated Savic there in the first one, but Savic with an impressive victory over Strasky, and then almost so close against Glogowski, couldn't quite get there. Ends Savic's awesome run here. Super impressed by him, and I'm sure we'll be seeing him a lot more as well. But that did put Glogowski into the finals. But again, with that deficit, he's got a match to give to Mengucci, so that's going to make things difficult. It looks like we've got opening hands. Let's take a look and see what decks the opponents got. They were randomly chosen for them here. Don't forget that. So this is Andrea Mengucci's opener, and he's got his Esper deck here. How's his hand look?
He's on the draw here with Esper. He knows he's up against an aggro deck because both of his opponent's decks are aggro. His mix of lands are great. Not too happy having 2 expensive spells. He can Thought Erasure, but on the draw, doesn't have anything to interact with the board until turn 5.
I mean, if he faces the red deck here, he's just dead.
Yeah, this is one of those hands, though, I don't think you can ship it back. You know, you don't love it, but it's so risky. If you ship it back and you get 6, something like with only 1 land or 2 lands, you could be in trouble. So I think he's just got to pray that his draw phase is nice.
How about this opener here for Glogowski? It looks like he's drawn his mono blue deck. Again, the only one in the whole field.
So he got the matchup he wanted. He's got 1 drop into 2 drop, a couple counter spells. Pretty consistent draws in this deck, and that's about what you look for.
Yeah, we're looking for some cheap interactive spells for Andrea Mengucci off the top of his library here to help stem the bleeding. Otherwise, Glogowski's going to be able to do exactly what the deck wants, which is set up a board state and then protect it. Ooh, look at that. Cry of the Carnarium was the draw step there for Mengucci. He can try to set this up by using Thought Erasure to clear the way.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice here by Canister. Does he want a Trickster or Spell Pierce this? You can just let this resolve. Yeah, he's going to let it resolve. Save your Spell Pierce to stop a potential Cry of the Carnarium or Kaya's Wrath.
Yeah, and
if
what
it's not taken, or you force his hand and he has
exactly. Yeah, and you know, over the course of the next turn here, he can use his 2 mana that he has now to play Merfolk Trickster. That gives him 3 power on board, and then he can just simply pass the turn back.
Right.
Merfolk Trickster is a wizard, and he'll be able to cast Wizard's Retort regardless, or even Spell Pierce, or even both if he draws a land.
Yeah, having 2 counter spells in his hand made it where it's not okay. It's not. There's no reason to counter this. You can just play your Trickster in a turn and develop your board.
All right, he found a dive down with his draw step. So not the land, but that's okay. He's going to attack for 3. And now he could just play a patient game where he doesn't need to do anything else right now anyway.
Yeah, although
this is a tap land now for Mengucci.
He's going to want to pressure his opponent.
Yeah.
If he's going to rely on Spell Pierce, because eventually your opponent will have an extra 2 mana to pay for that spell.
Okay.
If they have Cry of the Carnarium, it's only 5 mana.
Right, and it's interesting because
huge draw right there.
Ooh, a second copy. Excuse me, a Wizard's Retort off the top of the library. The other one, having been taken away by Thought Erasure, gives the insurance plan. And by the way, that is an unknown card to Mengucci. He only knows about the Tempest Gen and the Spell Pierce right now.
Although the way this is going to work out, unless Canister draws a 3rd mana, which he didn't,
can't seem to do.
The 5th land, leaving 2 up to pay for Spell Pierce that he knows about, can also cast a negate in his hand if the Wizard's Retort is cast on the Cry of the Carnarium.
So Mengucci's patience might pay off here, though it will cost him a lot of his life total. He's going to be down to 6, but with no land off the top for Canister, that could have been it, right? If with the land there, he might have just been in good position to win this game. But
if Canister drew a land there, it would pretty much lock it up. He would be able to cast Wizard's Retort and Spell Pierce.
But now we're going to see Cry of the Carnarium, That is going to be met with Wizard's Retort most likely, and then Negate will counter back, and all the creatures will be gone. That's exactly where Mengucci wants to be. Basically at all times, no creatures on board, thumbs up.
So then Canisters really needs that third land so he can cast Tempest Gen. But as we see with 3 Teferis, likely just going to cast a Teferi, put the Tempest Gen third from the top, and be set up. It'll untap. He has a 6th mana, so the 2 land that, excuse me, if he tucks it, he won't untap any land. But he'll be set up for future turns.
That's right. So he does have to Wizard's Retort, but boom, Negate back from Andrea Mengucci says no, 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 and that is 3 cards hitting the bin here.
Eye roll from Canister.
Yeah, he's bummed. And these dive downs, now they could have actually helped there, but he just doesn't have enough mana to do anything. No land off the top, has to pass the turn back, and Glogowski looks a little bit flustered about this. He's just not finding his mana, and here it is, but now it's just too late. Mengucci's decided to sit back on Absorb, or maybe Chemister's Insight on the flashback.
Well, the reason he didn't play the Teferi is because he knows about the Spell Pierce, so he's just going to wait till he has 7 mana and play around it. Spell Pierce loses a lot of value, A, when they have a lot of mana, and B, when they know to play around it.
Taking a look at the bottom part of your screen, you'll see Glogowski's hand has the 2 cards on the left have little eyeballs next to them. That means that those have been seen by your opponent. It's a way to remember, oh, right, these have been exposed, and my opponent knows about them.
Yeah, and with Absorb in hand, he can just play a patient game, develop his board.
Wow, Andrea Mengucci really setting up beautifully here for the late game, facing absolutely no pressure whatsoever at the moment. Glogowski, with that critical 4th island, does let him cast Tempest Gen and then have Spell Pierce at the ready as well. So that could get a Tempest Gen onto the battlefield. But as you said earlier, David, not long for this world, thanks to the 2 copies of Teferi in hand for Mengucci. This is a big turning point now, because Glogowski's thinking, well, do I just need to play an even longer game where I wait for another mana so that I can keep Dive Down available, or should I just go for it here? He's shaking his head. He does not like his options. I think part of the reason here is because he knows if he just passes the turn and tries to stay patient that it's not getting any better for him.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He drew too many cards that depend on a creature. He's got 3 in his hand. He'd much rather those be threats.
So we're going to see Absorb on the Tempest Gen, and as we talked about, oh, I actually miscounted. The Spell Pierce wouldn't work anyway. There were 2 lands, so it's just going to get straight up absorbed. Mengucci back up to 9 life, and still no board state for Piotr Glogowski. He is just in dire straits here in game 1.
Yeah, and he's rolling with that search for Escanta. 1 mana. 2. He knows his opponent only has Spell Pierce. He can pay for it, which allows him to play Teferi for free. Not for free, but without worry of a counter.
Right. There's Teferi ticking upwards. And this one is really starting to slip away now. We may have game number 1 going to Andrea Mengucci, who has dominated this top 4. He was the player who worked his way into the finals with no losses, giving himself the privileged position here of saying, you got to beat me twice. Well, so far, Mengucci has been hard to beat once.
Well, here we go. He does have a threat on the board. With 2 dive downs, he can give it enough toughness to live through Cry the Carnarium.
It's just a little rough, right? A 1-1? Like,
well, he does have Curious Obsession in his hand, so next turn, he can
okay.
get a Curious Obsession on it, attack for 2, and draw a card.
All right, I like that.
This game's not over anymore.
Yeah, Mengucci just transformed his search for Escanta. He has all the tools to win the game going late, but he does need to make sure that the board stays completely clear. He's going to activate Escanta the Sunken Ruin first. And let's see what he finds here. He found Moment of Craving.
So now with 2 dive downs.
Canister with no chill, spamming the emotes as he is wont to do.
I think what we're going to see is Curious Obsession, Moment of Craving in response, dive down in response, keep the creature alive, but it won't have any power, so he won't be able to draw a card. No, he's going to go ahead and do it in the upkeep.
All right, so picking a fight here is Andrea Mengucci, but it's just going to trade off for a dive down here, it looks like.
Nope.
And that's fine. I mean, you got to do it at some point, right? Wizard's Retort off the top of the library, so well played there by Mengucci.
Yeah, give it in creature hexproof, so the Moment of Craving didn't resolve.
That's right. It still has hexproof, by the way, so this Curious Obsession is free anyway to hit the battlefield, though Mengucci doesn't actually have anything to interact anyway. He's kind of compelled to just attack Mengucci here, right? Get that card.
Well, if he gets rid of the 2 loyalty counters, he won't get to draw a card.
Yeah.
And he really needs to draw cards and get some things like Wizard's Retort or more creatures. So at this stage, you've got to attack your opponent's life total.
Down to 7 goes Mengucci, but I got to feel like he feels like he's got the tools to get out of this.
I think if we see Teferi on 8 loyalty, he would absolutely attack it because you can't let him have an emblem. But
yeah,
being on 6 right now.
Multiple good answers here. Cry of the Carnarium would take care of the Siren Storm Tamer if left unchecked. And you can also cast Mortify, and you can target either the creature or the Curious Obsession, depending on the situation, what you think your opponent might have. Canister's going to go for Dive Down. Now, this does give your creature hexproof, but the real point here is it would give it more toughness so that it would survive Cry of the Carnarium. But it looks like we're going to see Mortify in response.
And it is a Siren Pirate Wizard. So Wizard Retort does only cost 2 blue.
Yeah, and Glogowski is basically compelled to fire it off here, especially because Mengucci just went for the throat. He says, I'm just going to kill your Siren Storm Tamer. So Wizard's Retort's going to counter that. Now, Glogowski's completely out of gas.
Nice.
Says nice.
See, this is where we need your rude.
Yeah.
Your desired emote, rude.
You think Mengucci would fire that one off right now?
He looks like he's not worried about emotes. He looks pretty focused.
Yeah, he might not even have them on his side of the table. He is in the zone, no doubt about it. Mengucci came to game.
Now, the creature has hexproof, but if he hasn't used his Teferi yet, he could actually put the Curious Obsession 3rd from the top, which would...
Wow.
I don't think he's going to do it, but it would save him 1 point of damage and stop the card draw, but then he could attack the Teferi. I think he would for 1.
Glogowski just gave him the oops, good game.
So he did the play I just mentioned,
Yeah.
and now he's going to probably attack the Teferi here. I think you'd rather put Teferi on 2 than your opponent on 6 since you're not going to get to draw a card out of it. Nope. Just going to go for his opponent's throat.
All right, staying aggressive. He did find a Surge Mare off the top of the library.
Yeah, and the Surge Mare can pump, so he can actually pressure his opponent in 2 turns.
Man, Glogowski cracks me up. Man.
Ooh, Kaya's Wrath.
Oh, hello, Kaya's Wrath. That is the card he needed here. He's going to pump in response. Does not matter, of course, and that has to do it. Mengucci, there's no way for Canister to come back now. He had a slim chance with that board state. This one is done, especially because next card's unknown, and then there's going to be the Curious Obsession.
We're going to opt, go past it if he wants, but Mengucci has an Absorb in hand, which is going to stop the next threat and put him at 9. Teferi's still ticking up.
Another Siren Storm Tamer off of the opt. But again, Mengucci's whole entire game plan here is just keep the board 100% clear. Although he does not fire off the Absorb. He says that resolves your turn. And Glogowski is hovering over the concession situation here. And it was Cast Down that Mengucci found.
He's going to counter.
He is going to counter it, but of course that will cost him his Siren Storm Tamer. So same effect no matter what. Another Absorb. That is insurance on insurance. Backup plans for his backup plans. And Andrea Mengucci is going to end up winning game number 1 here.
1 game away.
He's 1 game away.
Title of champion.
$250,000, and that is the concession. Andrea Mengucci, you saw that look of relief on his face. He knows how close he is. This is about as close as it gets. He got to win one of the next 2 games to take it home. But even if he doesn't, he'll have a whole nother match to play. It's a good place to be for Andrea Mengucci, and he is playing well, running well, and things are looking very good for our player from Italy.
So now we're going to see mono white against mono red.
This one could be quick, by the way. Not the time to leave your screen and go grab a sandwich. This is the time when you want to stay glued, because these ones can go very quickly. Now, generally speaking, mono red tends to be favored in this matchup.
That's the consensus.
Reach over and kill yourself, but you know what? It doesn't seem that big of an edge.
Doesn't seem like we've seen it that much.
We've seen mono white beat it plenty this weekend. So even if it is favored, I don't think it's one of those, huge disadvantage type situations.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be the matches we're casting, but it seems like mono white's given a beating to almost everything we've watched.
It kind of does. That's my vibe too, man. Every single time we see it, it's like, all right, well, here's Esper. They sweep the board, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, kill you anyway.
He's got the propeller hat out. He means business.
Yeah, and this is the time for that, Glogowski, because that's his lucky hat. He says you got to spin it to win it, and boy.
If that was my lucky hat, I'd just wear it in game one. I'm not trying to spot anyone a game.
Well, you don't want to waste your luck. You know, it doesn't provide an unending stream of luck. Wow, we are actually underway here in game number 2. Wow, these guys are playing very quickly. Hello. Lightning Strike is going to take down a Dauntless Bodyguard.
Has to be done in the main phase because the Tide Taker would cost 3 on his opponent's turn. Get to Lava Runner holding off Tide Taker.
Banalish Marshall is going to say, actually, let's not hold back anything. Tide Taker into the red zone for Mengucci. Ooh, he doesn't like that attack. Look at him.
Look at this hand. 3 Wizards Lightning, and he has a Wizard out. So they basically Lightning Bolt. 3 copies of Lightning Bolt.
I don't know if you saw that, but Mengucci, I think he regretted that attack. He didn't like it. He shook his head after he did it.
Yeah, he just rolled his eyes. I don't think he's happy with it either. 3 copies of Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, like straight up Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
Like from Alpha, at least currently. Wizards Lightning only costs 1 red mana, and it's got the same text as that iconic card going all the way back. And we're going to see one of those here, I'm sure. It will, of course, cost him 2 mana thanks to the Tide Taker, but he's got enough to pay for it.
Yeah, he had wanted to hold that Tide Taker back so it could have blocked.
Yep, and that's what he
damage.
regretted on the last turn too, right? He said, I just don't want to trade damage at this point. At this point. Skewer the critics, Wizards Lightning. I see a theme here. That's half, by the way, of Mengucci's life total right there.
Yeah, it's really tough, though, the Tide Taker. I mean, you want to move it out of the way, but you don't want to give your opponent a 1/1 creature to continue attacking.
So annoying, isn't it? Tide Taker just sitting there making you pay more mana when you don't want to. Then when you kill it, it still sticks around.
The other dilemma is only one of his spells is an instant. The other 2 cost 3. He wants to use the Wizard Lightning, the cheaper spell, but then he won't be able to cast the Skewer the Critics on his opponent's turn if he were to play another Banalish Marshal. And then he can't cast it for 1 without getting damage through to his opponent first, but if he were to attack, the Tide Taker would just block. So he's kind of in a pinch right here.
Does he just have to use the Skewer the Critics, or can he afford to hold back?
No, I think you've got to get the creatures off the board and attack and start doing damage. So I think you're going to see him cast Skewer for 3 on the Tide Taker, attack for 2. He'll be able to hold up Wizard's Lightning for 1 mana. He might opt to just try to burn his opponent out and hold the spells, but no.
Yeah, it's just 18, right? You know, when you have 9 points of burn in your hand, it's tempting to go for a line like that. But boy, he's got a lot of work to do. And the way that you need to do that generally is by repeatable damage sources like this G2 Lava Runner, getting in for 2 right there.
Ouch.
What did he find?
Another Tide Taker.
Replacement Tide Taker. That's going to mean that Wizards Lightning is also turned off at this point. He's going to take 1. Snowborn Sentry's going to hit the battlefield as well, but a really annoying board state here for Glogowski. He's facing it down, and Andrea Mengucci, look how good he looks now. Venerated Loxodon in hand for next turn, plus Unbreakable Formation. Could he just go over the top?
Yeah, and he's only drawn 3 lands, which is great. It's right where you want to be in these aggro decks, is you don't want to draw too many, you want to draw more threats.
And a history of Benalia off the top of the library from Mengucci as well. Everything is coming up Mengucci. This draw has been fantastic, and I think he's getting really close to being our first Mythic Invitational champion.
Yeah, it's just unlucky Canister drew so many lands. He needs to draw some more creatures, maybe a Chain Whirler. Steamkin.
Runaway Steamkin off the top of the library here for Canister, but it doesn't look like it's enough. It's just a 1/1 at the moment. He can grow it a little bit. But Venerated Loxodon having 4 toughness, really a problem here. It looks like Glogowski's considering the option of attacking and just 2 for 1-ing himself to get rid of the elephant. He decides against it. Legion's Landing was the draw step.
Which is incredible because he does have 3 creatures, all which are fine attacks, no bad attacks here, so we could actually play it and just attack.
And then cast History of Benalia afterwards. Oh my goodness sakes.
We might see a Wizard's Lightning before combat on the flyer.
Let's see if that's what happens here. Pass to attackers. This is a big step here for Glogowski, because if he does fire it off, that will prevent that extra mana from hitting the battlefield, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Heads up play here from Glogowski. Says, yeah, not so quickly, my friend. Now, this does not get him out of this mess, though it does stem the bleeding a little bit here. Mengucci is considering what his attacks look like, because in a couple of turns he can cast Unbreakable Formation and just go over the top of anything that Canister has.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see a double block here. No, he's at 16. He's going to go to 12. He really needs some help. He needs maybe a Frenzy
Yeah, one of those insane things where he goes frenzy, land, one drop,
And then power up the Steamkin, start casting spells. That's his way out of this.
That's how it's going to happen, and it doesn't look like it's, wow, another history of Benalia off the top from Mengucci. He has all the tools he needs to win this game. The question is just what order does he want to cast his spells in, and how does it end? But Andrea Mengucci is tantalizingly close to the 250K. Glogowski's getting a little bit, little antsy here. Looks like flipping through his deck.
He's going to hold back the Tide Taker still. Surprised he didn't crash him with everybody to flip the Legion's Landing. I mean, you do throw away the 1/1 token, but then you create the ability to generate more every turn.
No cards in hand for Glogowski, so there's no threat on the other side. You know, all the information is known for Mengucci. He just needs to decide what he feels like his best mode of attack is, and it looks like it's going to be Venerated Loxodon, just trading off.
It's a solid block there. Double block, you only lose one of your creature. Trade 1 for 1.
But it is getting worse and worse for Piotr Glogowski because Andrea Mengucci just resolved History of Benalia. He's got another one in his hand, plus Unbreakable Formation. And over the course of the next few turns, he is going to be able to dominate this board. And I think he's going to win the Mythic Invitational here, David.
Fanatical 5-rank can take out the Vampire to keep him from attacking and triggering Legion's Landing, or casting another Venerated Loxodon.
Conclave Tribunal was the draw step now for Mengucci. He can actually cast that this turn if he really wants.
Chain Whirler, he wanted that a lot.
Oh, Goblin Chain Whirler, too little, too late.
It's still pretty good because the Night tokens become 4/3. He can block one of the Night tokens and will have first strike.
I mean, Unbreakable Formation, anybody?
Yeah.
Who's into that?
I think if he casts Unbreakable Formation here, it's all but over.
It's
going to have to block with all his creatures. None of his creatures are going to live.
No, and look at this, a huge Unbreakable Formation. Bang, 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 bang. Everything into the red zone. No profitable blocks here.
Yeah, he's got to block
for Glogowski.
All the 5s. This right here is lethal. He could. Oh. One token has Summoning Sickness.
That's right. He's down to 3, facing down a huge board state, and there are no cards in mono red. They can get Piotr Glogowski back. This was Andrea Mengucci's day. He has not taken a loss today, absolutely crushing his opponents all the way through the top 4. He did not lose a single time. Keep your eye on Andrea Mengucci. He knows that he is on the verge of winning. It's a pass back. All he has to do is click attack with all of his creatures, and we will have our Mythic Invitational winner. It is Andrea Mengucci. Congratulations, Andrea. You are the winner of $250,000 and the Mythic Invitational.
Well played all week. All week, well played by Andrea Mengucci.
What a fantastic performance for Andrea Mengucci and Piotr Glogowski. Congratulations to him for his second place finish. But we do have our Mythic Invitational winner. He gets hugs from everybody. It's Andrea Mengucci from Italy. He came in as a member of the Magic Pro League, and he did them proud.